and I will start it right at 11. Central Standard Time. 9 Pacific. Hopefully all the engineers are there by now to answer questions.
No, they're not here, so no surprise.
Okay, here we go. Good morning. Welcome to DBA Fundamentals. This is our third broadcast of December and the last one for 2017. Today we have Eric Kane from the SQL Tools team presenting information about the SQL Operations Studio, a new product that Microsoft just came out with, and there was a reminder. Let me turn email off. They came out with right before PASS. So let's continue on. Our sponsor, SentryOne, has some great products that they charge for. Lots of people have that. They also have a lot of free products. And of course, these free products are fantastic. Of course, the free products are there to get you in and talk, get you used to their site. But you really ought to take advantage of a lot of these and buy some products sometime too. But they have a great blog. They have a lot of videos like we do. They have trial downloads, and they give away Plan Explorer, which is a fantastic product. They have free tuning advice, and they have free PDFs that are fantastic. So go to their site and give them a shot. They help make our broadcast possible, and they also provide the funds that we use for giveaways. Speaking of giveaways, we're going to have a contest in 2018. We haven't got the exact details worked out, but here's the general parameters. It's going to be a 6-month contest starting 1st of January to the end of June, and that happens to be the last half of the year for PASS sponsors. And we're going to be giving away 3 really large Amazon gift cards. And some of the requirements, and it's not that much, you need to be a member of PASS, you must follow us on Twitter, and you must be subscribed to our YouTube site channel. It's pretty good, so I think you would like it anyway. And you get 1 entry for each session that you attend, either in the United States or down under. And there'll be a first, second, and third prize given away. So if you want to go ahead and get started on that, you can do that. And if you don't want to take advantage of that, totally welcome to keep coming to great sessions and getting plenty of free education. Tomorrow, there will be a PASS Linux Marathon. Here's the sessions that are available. Go to PASS and scan for some of these sessions coming up. But if any of those interest you, with SQL Server 2017 in Linux, tomorrow would be a great day to get a lot of education about it. Here's some of our sessions that I was talking about that's coming up. We have 3 sessions each month, 1 down under and 2 here. Eric Darling will be doing the Junior DBA Workout Plan. Kimberly Tripp, Statement Execution and Plan Cache. Jess Borland, Not So Secret, Get to Know SQL Server Agent. That's a great session. Aaron Stellato, Migrating to In-Memory OLTP. Glenn Berry, Migrating to SQL Server 2017. Glenn Berry again here in the States, 2017 High Availability DR 101. And Tim Radney, Common SQL Server Mistakes and How to Avoid Them. Brent Ozar in March, What to Do when SQL Server is Slow. Now, just note that that's an odd time. That's what we were able to work out with Brent, so 11:30 to 12:30 on that one. Paul Randall will be doing Index Fragmentation, Internals, Analysis, and Solutions in early April. And then Kendra Little will be doing Index Design Patterns for Beginners. So these are some pretty good sessions that we have coming up the first half of the year. So you're going to get a lot of free education. There's tons of other virtual groups that you should take advantage of with practically every major language and practically every topic. Data architecture, data science, database administration. That's our big brother slash sister. They do highly technical sessions, but they're very good. Anyway, PowerShell, performance, in-memory VC, they have pretty well everything. Professional development, women in technology, virtualization, Saturday Night SQL for those that have a hard time looking at these during work hours at lunch, security. So check them out. Today we have the SQL Server Tiger team presenting the session, and since we're running low on time, I'm going to bypass that and tell you that our sessions will be recorded, and they'll probably be up within a day or two afterwards. At least give us at least to the next day, and you can get to them at dbafundtube.org or dbafund.org, and if there's any handouts, we'll have them attached here. So I'm going to turn it over to Eric Kane with the SQL Server Tigers team, and he can take it away from there. Hold on just a second. Let me make him the presenter.
All right, thank you very much, Steve. By the way, you keep switching Tiger and Tools team. It's a Tools team.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that.
You must love a Tiger team. Tiger team is basically the same group, so it's basically it's correct, technically correct. It's the same team, so not a big deal. All right, thank you very much for the introduction. I'm so excited that it's the first time that I'm going to demo SQL Operations Studio after our public preview release. My name is Eric Kang. I'm Senior Program Manager, and in the SQL Tools team and Tiger team is the same thing. And if you have any question, please feel free to send me email at erickang@microsoft.com or go to Twitter, Eric S. Kang. That is my Twitter account. Okay, let's get it started. All right, so today's agenda is that I'm going to talk about a little bit about what happened after we released the public preview, and then go into our main content about what is a Microsoft Operations Studio. And I'll mostly run the demo of the tool, and then I'm going to share what's coming next. Nowadays, our team is sharing many information open to public. Even the source code is open. And can be viewed as the public GitHub repository. So I'm trying to share many roadmap and what we are actually thinking in the last part of the session, so that we can also get the feedback from you, Ollie. And I'm going to go through Q&A at the end of the session. I have some content that it might not be fit into 1 hour session. So let's go very quickly and try to get that content covered as much as possible. So, all right, so this is a release report. It was awesome. We announced it's coming in SQL Pass, and then we actually made it public preview available to everyone on November 15th, which was less than a week ago. Now, we got 2,600 stars, likes in the GitHub repo, 107 forks already, less than a month, and we became like a #1 trending repo out of GitHub's 7 million repository, including everything. And we became the #1 trending repository. That was fantastic. Thank you very much. It was all coming from you guys, and that was really appreciated. And I cannot disclose the actual telemetry number, but there are a large number of downloads already, and thousands of weekly active users, and the number is growing really rapidly. So it's really fantastic. And it is not just from Windows; it's all over from Windows, Linux, and macOS. Linux and macOS users are also a very meaningful number there. So we are really happy to see that, along with the SQL Server 2017 release, not only for Windows but Linux and then cross-platform. All right, so another note is community engagement. I just selected just 4. The first one is that we are getting a lot of calls from ISV tools partners, like Redigate is starting a research projects and what they can do on the SQL Ops Studio. So they just announced publicly on their blog, so asking help from you guys. So go and please help Redigate. And also not publicly announceable, but we are getting emails from ISV tools partners asking about what they can do to develop extensions on the SQL Ops Studio. So send us email, and if you're working in an ISV tools team like a SQL Sentry one, that's great. Send us email, and then we will help our partners as much as possible. We'd like to see that going. Another thing is that we are seeing the extension came out, the MAT library, actually made the open source Insight widget project. It's a Insight widget library project that works on the SQL Ops Studio as an extension, and then that's awesome. This is exactly what we were hoping to happen, and then hope to see more coming. And the beautiful blogs, like Drew posted in port 1433, he posted blogs about talking about SQL Operations Studio and so on. So those are kind of a really positive the message that we have been getting from our community. So that's great news for us and everyone. Okay, so what is SQL Operations Studio? It's a little bit long name, so I tend to call it Ops Studio. So there are kind of jokes like don't call it SOS, right? And there are too many SOS, like the SQL Server has a SQL Server OS and all that kind of stuff. So Ops Studio, I feel like Ops Studio is a kind of good name for my tongue. All right, so Ops Studio. Before Ops Studio, probably you know we've been designing and delivering products as a persona-based, and the SSMS is more like a DBA tool. SSDT is just a developer tool, and those kind of hard boundary made us really hard to kind of provide meaningful features. But the SSMS is used by developers, used by DBAs, right? SSDT mainly used by developers, and people are asking, hey, why don't you provide some of the SSMS features and SSDT kind of stuff? So those kind of a hard boundary, which is not really realistic out there. So Ops Studio, even though the name only contains Ops, it is basically for database developers and Ops, and empowers a DevOps practice. I typically call it not DevOps, but a Dev plus Ops, right? So that is kind of what we are looking into when we are building our tool and adding new features in there. The 3 key characteristics of a SQL Ops Studio is it's extensible. You don't see in the public preview, we didn't release many of our extensibility yet, but that is the goal. SQL Ops Studio is a fully extensible product, so that you can bring in even core features like HA always on will be, we think, will be available as extension. So if you're a developer, then probably you don't need always on features on your tool, right? Then you don't have to install that extension, and vice versa. So if you are a DBA and then the ops side, then you must have always on related to features, then you need to get the extension and so on. And it's free. And the key thing is that it supports Windows, macOS, and Linux equally. So that is one of the key things. All the tools that we are building recently are targeting these 3. So it is not just for SQL Ops Studio. At the end of this session, I'm going to show you a roadmap slide with the SQL Tools Portfolio so that you can have a better understanding. All right, so before I go into some demo, I'd like to give you 3 things that I'd like to ask. It's just a 3 weeks old product, so please download and try and give us feedback. And if you have any feedback and suggestion and design idea, anything, just to come to github.com Microsoft/SQL Ops Studio. And there is issues page that we are using it as our main communication channel with our customers and friends and the community. We don't have anything like a connect we find the GitHub issues. You can actually see our development progress, even our planning stage, and what we are triaging, all that, like a real time. And if you have issues there, and then we reply on that the thread, then you get the email notification, and then we can directly communicate like a real time. So far it's beautiful, and then please join there. And if you have any Twitter level comment or question, then we also have a SQL Ops Studio as our Twitter account. So please follow, and then I get the latest news from there. So those are, if you can do these three things after this session, that would be fantastic, and I'll thank you. Okay, so what is our current focus? The current focus is that first, we deliver the solid core functionalities. I'm going to talk about what we think it as core functionalities. And we want to finish the story about deliver an extensible tools platform. It will empower not only us, but our tools, the ISV partners, and the community, almost everybody. So through that, we want to deliver rich database development and management features through the healthy extensions ecosystem. That is a kind of goal that we are marching toward. So not only for Microsoft providing those extensions, but we want to invite the tools ISV partners and individual community members, anyone who can actually build the extension as they wish and like, and then do a business around it. Okay, so likewise, any tools, the core functionality is being able to connect, discover the database schema objects, and an IntelliSense, like a language service in the SQL Ops Studio, it is supporting the Azure SQL DB, IntelliSense as well, and edit and execute the view results. Those are core functionality. So SQL Ops Studio, no matter what we do, this core functionality should be rock solid, and it's the best in the class. So that is the thing that we are focusing on. And then right now it is a first public preview. There are bugs, and there are stability issues that we are kind of nailing down as fast as possible. So we're going to have like a refresh update for the public preview, and then go really fast the cadence of releasing it. All right, so let's quickly demo SQL Operations Studio, and then go to rest of the slide as well. Okay, so let's say, I'm just putting a hat of let's say developer as first in a demo. So this is my fictitious demo GitHub repo. I call it that project. And there's one issue reported, and then I need to go my database and troubleshoot it, right? So in the wide world, the importance database is in the sample database. There is a problem that the orders are not inserted correctly into the database. That is the scenario. So using SQL Operations Studio, what I can do is that first, I need my environment. I need the database set up, and then my application attached to the database. I need that to set up, and I need to have all the test environment set up, all that. Nowadays, developers and many people use Docker, so I set up my demo using Docker. Now, if you take a look at this is Bash script. You can open a Bash script and PowerShell script directly within the SQL Operations Studio. I will show you what I can do. I'm going to press F6. What I did was that there is a keyboard shortcut, and if you click and select Run Selected Text in Active Terminal, I assigned this command as F6. That means in the script, if I just click F6 by placing my the cursor on a line, then it will execute it. So SQL Ops Studio not only supporting the T-SQL, it supports integrated terminal. Because SQL Ops Studio is built based on Visual Studio Code, we are actually inheriting many great features that was added into Visual Studio Code. This integrated terminal is one of the case. I can do a bash, I can change it to a PowerShell. So just to name it, all the shells are supported if you have installed on your machine. So next step is that I'm going to bootstrap my troubleshooting environment using Docker. So that's it. So I have bootstrap it. SQL Server takes like 15 seconds to bootstrap if it doesn't have that much data. base in it to recover and start. So let me go. So let me try to connect it. So first thing I'm going to explain is that this server's side view. This is more like your registered servers plus Object Explorer combined together. So if you're familiar with SSMS, it has a group concept and registered servers. It's more like a connection string to that. So you can add your groups using the add server group dialog, or you can add a connection to that group. Now, revealing the feature, we are just starting group like a folder as of today, but the next step is integrating it with the CMS so that you have many SQL Server instances and databases that you need to manage, and then you're utilizing CMS as a central location to manage those the connection profiles. Then you can actually use it there. And the group also can bring in the many other great concepts. Like right now, it is a fixed group, but we are talking about the dynamic group. That means you have a list of servers, and servers has some properties like a version of a SQL Server itself, and then you just name it. The database can have like some tagging, like a mission critical database, just a user database, or temporary database, all that. Instead of adding statically those databases and then the SQL Server instances into group, what if you can define a dynamic criteria that we can just create a group with the server and the database that we can discover. So, so in that case, if let's say a SQL Server version and patch level as an example, then we can actually make a group of all my group that is SQL Server 2017, 16, 14, whatever, so that you can better manage it. And also, we are going to bring in the multi-server SQL Server instance execution. So right-click on the group. You can actually take action on the group. So that is something that is coming in the multiple iterations, and that's what we are envisioning. So from the day one, the group and the connection is a first-class citizen of the SQL Ops Studio, and for operators, it's so important. So we are going to keep improving that one. Okay, so I just talked about it to wait 15 seconds. So if I go and click expand, then this is a regular Object Explorer, and you can see all that. Only one thing that we are trying here in Object Explorer is that let me open up right mouse context menu. You see much simpler context menu. We are not going to make it another SSMS that has like hundreds of context menu listed, and then it's so hard to find what is what. So that is the one concept that we are going to keep Object Explorer and the context menu as simple as possible, and then keep it as a core need and the starting point or launch pad for other tasks. Okay, so let's continue our demo. So we just bootstrapped our troubleshooting environment. So let me go, and I'm pressing F6 one more time, clear, and then keyboard down. I'm not using mouse right now. I'm using our keyboard. You cannot see, but you can actually see that I'm moving the cursor, and then press F6. That will run my tests suite running in one of the Docker container. And it's first time it's running, so it's a database. It's cold. It takes a little bit longer. But if I run it one more time, it's faster. Okay, so I can see that there's a person who's troubleshooting the database. I see that my test is failing. And let's say it's something called under website schema and insert customer order. That's failing, right? And then it's negative test, and it should supposed to return an error, but it didn't return error, but it passed through and inserting wrong data in there. So let's take a look. Usually in the SSMS, what you had to do was like either browse it, right, and find where is it, like this, right, and browse it, or you file it, the connect item and add the search capability. So we added the search capability. So I go to a database and I clicked. Just a second. Okay. We added the search capability there. Okay, let me open another dashboard. Okay, the database dashboard. There's a search explorer widget, and what was the name? It was insert. Then it finds the insert the custom orders. That is the store procedure that is failing. You can do it like show all the tables, or just the views, store procedure, or again just using the name, right? So these are like the fast explorer widget that provides all the search capability that is useful for developers and then the DBAs. And then what I'm showing you is not the public preview build. This is basically daily build that we are doing. So in public preview, you only see the script as create, but now we added the script as alter and script as execute as well. So because I'm going to troubleshoot this database, the sub procedure, I'm going to open it as script as alter. All right. So this is the editor experience, and I can quickly make a connection. Okay, this is the database. All right. So this is the store procedure that is failing. And as a developer, I usually need to execute it and see what's failing and all that kind of stuff. And then most often, this is not what I have, the database that I have created, so I don't understand what are these guys, right? So the one thing that you can do is, as a developer or DBA, is that just to go to the script and right-click, and there are two things. One is go to definition and pick definition. If I want to understand what is failing along with the stock items table and what's in there, I can just click pick definition, and as you see, the definition of object shows up within the editor. This is like in Visual Studio, you have this feature for other languages. Now T-SQL has the same capability in the SQL Ops Studio, so you can actually use it and to debug and get the schema discovery of your code very quickly on the editor without leaving the editor space. So what happened was that the test was inserting incorrect stock ID number. That was what's happening. So it was inserting stock ID number 500. Let me know, Steve, let me know if the screen is switching too fast and it's not catching up, okay? So let's check out stock items. Okay, so this one was the table that is coding. So let's take a look at what's in there. So I can run the select 500 directly, and I can see it. But this is too much data, and let's see. Now, I think this is one of the feature ask after we release public preview. Now I can hide it. I can hide the visual view, right? So I'm going to show you what I did in the keyboard shortcuts. There is a toggle result. Okay, toggle query results. I mapped it as a Command R. I'm using map right now. You can do Control R, or you can just map it like a Control Alt R, or just you can map it to any key binding that you like. And that's what you can do using the keyboard shortcut interface. And then let me come back, and I'm going to stock item ID equals 500, and then I will execute it. Okay, there's none. So stock item ID 500 is a negative test case, and it shouldn't pass through the execution of this SQL store procedure. It had to catch the issue and raise issue, but it didn't happen, so application was in trouble. Okay, so let's fix that. Instead of typing all that code, what I'm doing is that I will do it again. I'm typing Y, the word importers. This is a snippet. It's a user snippet. In SQL Ops Studio, if you type in just the SQL on editor, you see all the snippets that is built in. But you may not need this, or you may have a better skill to write a SQL script for those. So in that case, you can just define your own user snippet. I defined this morning wide word importers code fix snippet. If I press tab, then it adds those snippet into my code. This is the code fix that I'm going to do for this store procedure. Okay, and how you do it is that go to command palette and type in snippet. There's open user snippets, right? And just add the SQL. Okay, this is the snippet definition that I made this morning. You can just, this is just a template. You can just copy your T-SQL script or script portion and make it formatted like this. That's it. And then it will show up on your editor. When you type in those assign the prefix name, then it will just show up and you can use it. You can do it for many other cases. I'm just doing this, adding the code fix as a sample case, but you can utilize it in a many productive way. Okay. Alrighty, so let's run that. And if I go back to my terminal and run the test again. All right, now it is all successful. So this is a quick demo of how we can utilize SQL Ops Studio in the integrated terminal, talking with the environment. You can do SSH as well, like this. And then it's just the terminal into your Linux environment and any environment that supports SSH daemon. And you can work remotely through the server from your client side. Work on the T-SQL, work on the any command line shell level script, PowerShell, all that is supported in the SQL Ops Studio. So it doesn't have to be like a DBA only, developer only, or IT pro only. It supports all. Okay, so that is a quick demo about the core functionality. One thing, if I add a little more, and if I execute it one more time, hide it, remove, where close, and execute it again. The results has multiple ways that you can save it. One thing that I like is save as Excel. In SSMS, we tried to have a save as Excel multiple times, but due to some technical issue, we couldn't do it. But in SQL Ops Studio, now we can export the result into Excel if there are a large amount of results that you want to use Excel like a tool that you can further analyze or generate reports and all that kind of stuff, then you can use Excel. And then we do format it correctly. So it doesn't make it that Excel in a weird formatting way, like the line goes to multi-line and so on. It's all done. And this one is not the, we actually took it from an open source project. Somebody actually contributed into a MS SQL extension in Visual Studio Code, which was our sibling project in the VS Code. And we got the contribution for the Save as Excel feature. So we added it to a SQL Ops Studio as well to bring the benefit to everyone.
To clarify, we got it for free actually because it shares the exact same backend.
That's right. So that's basically what happened. So this is a kind of a core features. This core feature, execution connection, that should be rock solid. So if you find any issue, please let us know. And I'll go to next slide. I'll go a little quickly. And another thing is that we brought in manage it with insight. It's like the catchphrase that we had in our early development and design time of our tool. What we thought about is that SQL Ops Studio is not a monitoring tool. It cannot. For proper monitoring, you need to have a monitoring service and when those monitoring service and alert you there is a problem and so on, then you most likely go to specific server, SQL Server instance and database, and then start looking at what's happening. So if you can see things at a glance view, that'd be awesome, right? When you connect to a SQL Server instance or database, and if you can see some of those things that you like to see at a glance, that's awesome. So that is the first step. And then if you understand the insight, then you'd probably want to know, hey, I want to see more detail about specific entry in that insight at a glance view, right? And if you understand some details, then you want to take a remediation action. So we call it insight action. So manage with the insight comes up with a three-part insight at a glance view chart, and the view detail dialog, and insight action. Right now, insight action is the one thing that we did not fully complete yet. So it only supports built-in task as insight action, like a backup and restore a new query. But we are envisioning that what if user can create their own remediation action using T-SQL or PowerShell and attach it to this manage with the insight concept, so that the at a glance view, detail, and action that can be all brought by user and fully customizable with user's own T-SQL. And one of the design, the more like the product group insight is that we attempted multiple times that we kind of assume all the customer's case and say that, okay, these charts, this remediation action and things like that would be useful. One example, always on monitoring dashboard, always on troubleshooting remediation actions, right? You remember that one? But it doesn't, it may not, right? Depends on the environment and then the application and database usage. It may not be applicable. Then such a feature with a large amount of effort that you put in and a large amount of size and memory footprints will be a waste, right? So we thought about it. Hey, nowadays, DBAs and developers, they have their T-SQL scripts. Why don't we make it, make our tool flexible so that they can bring that into the tool and customize their tool for their need, for their likings, right? For their day-to-day use. That was a kind of initial thought, and then we started that way. So let me quickly show you. Manage with the insight concept very quickly. So I'm going to Ops Studio, and this time, let's see, I'm opening up Ops Studio in different folder. So let's go to, let me clear. I'm opening up another project. It is called Ops Proj. So SQL Ops. This command line starts SQL Operations Studio from that folder. Now that folder is opened within SQL Ops Studio, right? Okay, so this is my, let's say, DBA's view of my database. With the fix, we have the deployed, the changes to our production environment, which is this server, and there's the same wide world importers database. So if I go to manage, now you see different view, right? When I opened up the dashboard on wide world importers, it opened up just the search widget and the task widget. Now I opened up the same dashboard in Ops Studio project. Now it shows it in a different view. I will explain how it can happen and what we did. But first, this is a manage with insight. I have added the query store, top 5 slow query issues. So, okay, something's going on, right? The plans are changing. And let's say if you want to know more about that one, then click this dot, dot, dot. That opens up 3 more commands. One is show details, run query, and refresh. Let's see show details first. By clicking that one, it brings up all the query and query plans that is stored in the QDS environment. So by clicking it, I can see each query execution history and the plan in that, the execution point in time, like this. And then I can see the SQL query text. All right, there is the SQL query and the actual show plan there. If I want to see the actual show plan here, then I can just copy it and I can save it as SQL plan. This is the file extension for show plan. If I do that and I go to a folder, I have saved the plan previously like this. So if you want to keep the some previous historic plan, then you can save it as a SQL plan. Then you can browse through and analyze the plan using the show plan. Right now, the show plan only enabled the estimated plan. So if let me do it one more time, go to query store and open up the query that is feeding this insight chart, which is a run query command. It opens up the query. Let me hide it, and there is explain. If I click it, then it shows the explain. Okay, and this one is estimated plan. If I save the show plan from the QDS, that is actual plan. Right now, what we are working on is that we are also bringing in actual show plan for this explain button as well. So that is coming up. We just enabled the estimated plan, release the public preview so that we can get some feedback from our users for usefulness. One thing that we are going to add is this top operations tab that shows your show plan in tabular. This one is really only form. It does not have like a sorting, anything like that, like linking it back to a query plan graphical view. Nothing like that yet. But these are the areas that we would like to get the customer feedback, so that tell us what is important. Right now, because we are in a public preview, we are doing iterative mode. We will really appreciate if you can tell us things in priority order, right? So there are 10 the useful features. Out of those 10, 1 to 3 are really important, and then the 4, 5, 6, it can come later. If you can kind of indicate us things like that, that would be also very helpful for us.
The other one on this is that we will be bringing the actual execution plan. There's a good chance it'll be in the next release.
Yeah, and I was introduced as a Tiger team. Tiger team is doing a lot of great work of the show plan related works in the SSMS. So we are talking with the Tiger team how we can actually leverage that work into SQL Ops Studio, so we can bring those the nice features into SQL Ops Studio. Now, let me go quickly. So here, these are kind of, okay, that is just reports, right? But anybody can do this. The one thing that I think important is that these reports are not what we think is useful for you and that we wanted to deliver it as a feature. No, it is not. It's just a sample. We just added this built-in widget as a sample. The key thing that we are envisioning is that, as I showed you briefly, this is the query. Okay, and you must have this type of query, DMB queries, and any TSQL query that you do troubleshoot and manage your SQL Server instance and database like this. If the table contains some of the string column that is used as a label and numeric value, then we can convert it into a chart view. So to do that, there is Save as Chart button. By clicking it, it just converts it into a chart view. We embedded multiple types of chart, like a scatter graph and time series, a line, all that. Also, the image, this one is actually R image. So if you are using R, and R returns you the image format for the analysis result, then if it is the form of image in the table, then by clicking image will make your R result into your the dashboard, the chart. So there are so many potentials in this case. And once you have the result view as a chart, then either you can save it as image and put it into your Word document, or click Create Insight. The Create Insight, I can just name it as my demo. What you need to do is that just to copy. Of course, one thing that I missed is that I didn't save the query file. But if you save the query file, then it has the folder path and the file name. Once you do that, just to copy it and go to settings, either user setting or workspace setting. User setting applies to all of your SQL Ops Studio sessions running in your own machine. Workspace setting applies to a specific folder that you have opened up. Sorry, I just clicked. And the workspace setting goes into this, under the folder, there's this .SQL Ops folder gets created, and there's a settings.json file. So just to go to workspace setting and database, just search for database, and there's a dashboard widget settings, right? Just click edit, then it will copy the settings into your own settings file, and you just paste the inside settings in there. Now it looks a little bit daunting, right? And Kevin Kunane is sitting next to me, and we were working on the more of a UI level of configuration for what I just did as a manual, but it was not included in the public preview. In some in the future update, we are going to make it more UI driven. But what is important is that all these settings, even when we have a UI driven, these settings can be managed through a JSON format like that with a certain grammar format. This is important because I'm going to explain it. If I save these settings into a folder, which is basically a GitHub project, and I check that, I can check it in. If I check in, I spent 10 minutes or 1 hour to set up this dashboard, then that investment will benefit all my team members, because all my team members who's clone this GitHub project will get the settings, and they will have same dashboard, right? Without spending a second. That is a portability that we are thinking very important, right? So if it is just fully UI driven, we are not actually doing it this way, then if you have 10 members, then 10 people should do same thing 10 times, right? It's a waste of time. It's a waste of the productivity. So that is a portability that we think very important in the SQL Ops Studio. Okay. So that is the concept of manage with insight. By doing so, you can quickly build a dashboard that is for you, your team, and even you can share that same thing with your community. I'm going to talk about the sharing part in the next slide. All right, so let's talk about extensibility. Extensibility is not fully included in the public preview right now. It is coming in iteratively. When we talk about extensibility, right now we have 3 major buckets. One is insight extensibility, which will be enabled really quickly. The internal mechanism is all there in the public preview even. We just need to kind of plummet through, plummet those manage with insight the settings as an extension concept. That is only what's left. At the UI extensibility, we have added those of the Explorer sections and then the visual views and dialog frames, all that. And that should be extendable. And the content of those dialog and trees and all that should be extension driven, right? So that is a kind of UI extensibility. The last part is a database management protocol. This one is more like the connectivity, the SQL execution, all the interaction that is occurring between the client side and the SQL Server side. That is more of a driver, and this driver layer is also extensible. Even the SQL Server case, SQL Tools Service is separate the open source project that we published in in this URL, github.com, Microsoft the SQL Tools Service. This is fully open source, and that's the one. And imagine that the people bring up the database management protocol for other databases, then it's a pluggable extensibility extension the integration point, and it will light up on the SQL Ops Studio. That's kind of the beauty of this database management protocol. This same SQL Tools layer, service layer, is used not only for a SQL Ops Studio, but we have released the multiple CLI tools like MS SQL Scripter for scripting, dumping out the database schema, and MS SQL CLI, which is interactive command line tool.
Which just got announced today, I think.
Yesterday?
Yeah.
Oh, today.
One or the other.
Okay, so
very recently. So we encourage you to try it out if you haven't already.
All those tools that is tagged as a multi-OS OS support basically uses the same driver layer, SQL Tools service. So it's worth it to look at and then pay attention, and then what will happen in this area. All right, so the last part. So the last demo that I'm going to show is that, okay, then what is the extension? So let's go to another folder. Oops, extension. And SQL Ops, I'm going to open up another instance of Operation Studio. Okay, here. So this is another project, and I have a sample extension. And here, it's basically Visual Studio Code extension format. Let me first show you creating the extension first. So what I have is that this one is defining the insight. So in the settings, you saw that there is a query file and inside the chart definition and things like that. Exactly the same thing can be just copied into a package.json following the Visual Studio Code extension template. There is just the template. The core of the extension is inside of this insight, the JSON object. Just the copy paste the settings that we just saw, how you can build it from your own TSQL query into package.json. And you put your SQL files, let's say the same folder relative to the package.json, then you can use those relative path, right? So it's a .SQL, which is a relative path from package.json to SQL, and here are your TSQL files, right? And then let me open up. It's very, very simple command. One more time. Okay. So VSCE package, that's the command. If I just execute it, oh, sorry. So I need to go into that folder. Okay, and then execute it again. All right, here we go. So as you see, sample-insight v6 file is created. That's the basically extension. And go to file, and there's install extension from v6 package, and select that the v6 file that will install all the insight definitions into SQL Ops, like as if it is a built-in package, right? And then on the settings file, you don't have to go through the same complex configuration. You can just have a drop-down list of all those all your insights registered in the package.json and select and use it. So this is the another form of sharing the work with other people, and you can actually publish it into the SQL Ops Studio extension, and the same exact mechanism works for not only for the insight extension. Any extension will be built by following the same command, the VSCE package. That is something that we are going to enable iteratively, and that is what we talk about SQL Ops Studio extension. Okay, we only have 7 minutes left, so let me quickly go through some of the roadmap. So what we are envisioning right now as a potential of a SQL Ops Studio is like this. In the past, when we were designing the tools, it's kind of like this. We always say that with a few clicks, you can create or configure or change, get your job done, right? But But those scenarios are like a fixed. It's a predefined scenario that we say 80% of user may find it useful, like the widget, right? Widget scenario. But in reality, it may not, right? And yeah, for one time, it was quick and fast, like 3 clicks and you did it. But if you have to manage multiple servers, then it's a 3-click multiplied by the number of servers and instances that you have to manage. It's kind of cumbersome. So in reality, people actually don't do that. Actually, they build a solution that they can execute as like a part of a script or some the part of the tool. That is basically what the people are doing. So SQL Ops Studio, rather than going through like a fully UI-driven, a few clicks kind of mode, rather than going that, we want to help building a portable, repeatable, and automatable solution to develop and manage single or multiple SQL Server instances and databases. That 3 keyword, portable, I briefly explained about the dashboard settings. That is portable, right? It can work on my machine. Then I have a GitHub repository. Anybody who clones the GitHub repository and open the folder will have exactly the same dashboard settings and exactly the same dashboard the working on their environment no matter what, right? So that is portability. And repeatable and automatable, that's also a very important one. So unlike a UI approach, we want to help through the UI, we want to help the user to produce something like a PowerShell script or SQL script or set of those kind of related together, and that can be executed repeatedly without going through those UI clicks again. And then that should be in a form that it can be automated. Like let's say if it is a backup related ones, then the final format should be automated by a SQL agent or any scheduler. If it is about the database CI and CD related the solution, then the final result should be something that VSTS Jenkins can just pick up and run, right? So Ops Studio is kind of envisioning help a user to produce that as a final result, not as a UI, beautiful UI, to finish your job that you have to repeat 100 times. All right, so when it comes to a development and release, it's a community driven. We love that yeah. So yeah, for questions, I will I just have 2 slides left, so I will finish this one and answer the questions. It's community driven, and because the source code is accessible through this GitHub repository. Also, our engineering team is using this GitHub repository for all those development actions. So it's 100% transparent. You can actually see daily activity going on there. And we enable the CI/CD for engineering excellencies for the daily builds out of those the repo. Right now, you don't see all of those yet because the SQL Ops Studio repo, we made it as public, but we have all the repo that was internal only. Probably in January, February time, we are going to migrate our stuff into the SQL Ops Studio, the public one, so you can actually see all the 100% transparency of our engineering team and even designing, planning, and triaging everything. So please come to the SQL Ops Studio GitHub repo and look at the issues and join the community and communicate with us through that channel. That's what I want to ask. So what's coming? In December, we are going to have one public preview refresh update. It is not the major update, but there are key bugs and the stuff like that that's causing trouble to the early adopters. So key thing is more like setup package for Windows. Right now, the unpacking the zip file using the Windows API is so slow. So we're just going to have a setup package for Windows. Still, it's Xcopy based. I just showed you the toggling the result view pane. There was a scripting issue that the scripting was failing, and the Object Explorer couldn't handle the large number of databases. Those are all major ones, and many other small bug fixes that is coming along. And check the milestone in GitHub repo in issues page, then you will see what's happening. Okay. So I'm just showing the portfolio, but instead of going through this slide, I'm going to quickly check the questions that we got and answer those. Okay.
Eric, while you're looking at those questions, I was just going to say we can set this up as a simulated live session. We did that for the SQL Tiger team on one session, and we were able to get more questions also. But take your time on the questions. If you take 15 minutes, that's okay. But we'll set it up as a simulated live and accumulate more questions for you from different time zones at different days.
Okay.
And Shane can help with questions also if you want to. He's been watching them as you go through.
So, all right. I'm quickly going through the questions first. Okay, the first question, is Operation Studio a fully functional replacement for SSMS? Should I use it instead of SSMS? I would say not yet, right? So if you are using SSMS and you're mostly the Windows client OS, so server doesn't matter. SSMS fully supports all the cross-platform SQL Server. Just it matters right now. Is SQL Ops Studio will grow bigger? Yes. In the same way? No. Right? SSMS had a lot of features that you may not need. SQL Ops Studio will provide those useful features. Of course, we are expecting community to give us what to tackle them first, and then our goal is to provide it as an extension. Okay, and then you can pick what feature you want, and then use it in the Ops Studio. And eventually, it's more like a natural selection, right? So if you like the SQL Ops Studio, it's suitable for you, then go with it. If you feel like SSMS is the good, then go with it. So, okay, the next one is SSMS dies because SQL Ops Studio what is the future of SSMS? SSMS is a flagship product, and it supports the Windows-based customer basis. So we have no intention of stop supporting, adding features, or improving SSMS. So that's very clear, and there shouldn't be any confusion around it. Okay, so there's a typo issue. Thank you. I will fix that one. APS and PDW, so it's an extension mechanism. So right now we just enabled, let's say, SQL Ops Studio as extensible tools platform, and many product teams like DW and the other product teams are very interested in adding features on top of SQL Ops Studio. Again, it should be extension based, and then it's more like each team will onboard and ask them to build the extension, or our ISP tools team or if community members can build the extension around it. And then I think that is a healthy ecosystem that we should target. Can I import register servers from SSMS? Yes, we can share. It's not a built-in feature, but in port1433.com, which is the blog post, there is a way that you can actually import registered servers from SSMS. So there is a way. Will it be a built-in feature? We hope so. Yeah. So something that is what we are hearing. So we will look at those feature in SQL Ops Studio. Okay. Okay, I'm just checking other questions. Okay, are you going to have the same level of subfolders under tables, like system tables, file tables, graph tables, external tables, etc.? Please give us feedback. What is the kind of a best way to categorize these table types? Right now, we are using icons but it may not be the good solution. So if you're using these all different types of tables, let us know what is the best way, and then we will listen. Will this allow for viewing SQL jobs? And if so, will it allow filtering SQL jobs? SQL agent and SQL jobs, that is not enabled feature, but it is something that I'm working on now. So I was actually about to create an issue item in the GitHub and ask, okay, give us the key features that you want to have first, so that we can kind of focus on those. We have a limited resource, right? Likewise, any other company and team, product software team. So those are prioritization based on customers' feedback is very important. So let's talk through the GitHub repo issue page, and that's what I really hope. What versions of SQL does this work with? Everything. So right now the supported version is SQL Server 2008 all the way up to SQL Server 2017 officially, but SQL Ops Studio can connect to SQL Server 2005. I'm not promoting you to work on SQL Server 2005, but if you have to migrate out from SQL Server 2005, then you at least need to be able to connect it, right? So the SQL Ops Studio does not prevent you to connect to the older version, but basically it supports all SQL Server versions and Azure SQL DB and DW. Can you script without bracketing the names? Give us the scenario. Probably this kind of stuff is something that we can make it as an option and in the settings. So give us the suggestion in the GitHub issue. Then yes, so technically this kind of stuff should be possible.
I think he means the square brackets on names. You just had a few scripts with them involved. That's what he was asking about.
Can you script without bracketing the names? Sorry. Did I miss something?
No, just that question came in when you had a script up and a few keywords you just had bracketed, just so they're going properly. Just asking about that.
Oh, I see. Yeah, I'll double check it. I have to remember what I demoed, but I'll follow up on that one. Source control integration. Yes, it is integrated with GitHub. Sorry, I didn't show you, but yes, it is fully integrated with GitHub and source control. This tool appears to mainly be used for non-Windows platforms. If a shop is only using Windows OS, what benefit does using SOS bring? Yeah, you're right. So if you're 100% a Windows shop, then you have more choices, right? So so you have SSMS, you can use a Visual Studio, you can use a SQL Operations Studio. So it is a choice. And as I mentioned, the SOS and SSMS may have a different vision in terms of how we want to help customer. So if it fits your need, then it's a choice. And our team's name is SQL Choice Team. It looks like a merger of Visual Studio and SSMS. Yeah, in a way. I would say that is there a clear distinction between the database developer and DBA in terms of how they use tools? If so, then the answer could be different. But no, the SSMS is used by the developers as well, and then DBAs as well, and IT pros as well. Then this is something that why do we want to draw hard boundary between, right? Why don't a tool can support multiple needs, a more flexible way, right? More useful way. So that is a kind of way of thinking. Is there a script to insert? Script to insert. So if it is about the edit data, then yes, we have edit data capability. It's really early stage, so probably we need to revamp many parts in the design. But there is edit data, and if you can edit data on a grid format and produce like a DML script out of it, that would be awesome, right? So that is the line of thought that we have, how we want to improve the edit data. Edit data should be improved a lot more, and it's coming along. Okay, next question is SSIS DB supported via Ops Studio. Right now, Ops Studio supports SQL Server database, and IS, AS, RS are not fully thought through there, but it's all open question, and there is no prevention basically. So, and if those come in, it will come in as a form of extension, not as a built-in. So we don't want to. At the beginning, we advertised SQL Ops Studio as a lightweight tool. That was the meaning of lightweight tool, not the size of the installation package or number of files. The lightweight means we want to keep the core of the tool and bring those the features that can make the tools bigger and bigger and bigger as a form of extension, so user can choose what they want and what they run on their environment, right? So that's extension concept. Is Ops Studio fully functional with Azure SQL Elastic Pools? This one, please suggest us what you exactly want to see. This one, we didn't really look into it. So at early stage, yes, we wanted to look at the Azure SQL Elastic Pools, but it's just a PM resourcing issue that we couldn't actually tackle down all the possible scenarios there. So if you can help us, then that'd be awesome. So. Of course, we also need to talk with the subject matter experts in our org for elastic pools, and not only for that one, other feature areas in this building. Okay, same again. Is this targeted as a replacement? No. So I answered it previously. Okay, I think will SQL Operation Studio ever have anything for SQL agent jobs? Yeah, it's a planned item, so I'm working on it right now. So it doesn't mean that it's a public preview. It doesn't mean that the feature is not showing up in the public preview, meaning that we're not going to support. It's not. It's just that we are kind of releasing a feature iteratively, and that we want to make it as a form of extension. So right now, our engineering team is kind of focusing on building those extension mechanisms first, so that we can onboard the many things in a faster velocity, contributed by multiple the internal teams and the tools vendor and all that. So that is a kind of a sequence that we're working together. So that's why you don't see all the features that you need yet. Okay. Yeah, the bracket caching instead of a bracket DBO dot bracket my table. Yeah, this one is we should make it as a optional setting, or kind of doing it based on some logics, like if the name contains some reserved character, then bracket it, otherwise don't, kind of stuff. So yeah, these are kind of something that we can work on. Okay. Do you know if any features from SOS, the SQL Operation Studio, is being ported to SSMS? So right now, we based on the feedback, what is missing, and we are getting feedback a lot, is Profiler. Yes, we are working on it. And the show plan, actual show plan, yes, we are working on it. And the SQL agents, yes, we are working on it. So those are three main things that we got so far, mostly. And yes, we are working on it. And then it will come, one by one, right? So, that's what I can say, right? All right. So that was the end of all the question list, I think. All right. So if there's no more question, thank you very much for joining this session in the morning, and hopefully you found this session useful and interesting. And if so, please, join our community, help us. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric, and the SQL Tools team. Go ahead and sign up for our sessions in January, and we should have this posted tomorrow. We'll also set it up as a simulated live session, and that way, Eric, you may be getting some more questions. We may feed those in. The simulated live is anybody in the world can run the session and ask questions, and we'll get the questions at the end. They just won't get them live, and we can spread that out. If you have any time zones or days or times you want, we can set some specific ones up. Otherwise, we'll just leave it wide open. Okay, thank you. See us next time on January the 9th. Thanks. Bye.
Thank you.